all right. It's been a long time I was on the show. It feels like I've been out of the show for like 50 years. Well, it's good. This is the first edition of Flipside I will be hosting this year, 2022. Yes, for those who've been following the show closely, you noticed that the last time I was on the show was last year, and I obviously look slightly different than I was. And we've had Oloije Oikohai on the show this year, 2022, and I'm sure you've had a swell time, but I'm back for a while. My name is Daisy Leo Asikidi, and don't be confused. This is not This Morning on ITV that you've been seeing me on. I'm back to Flipside for a while. So today we'll be talking about flooding disasters in Nigeria, or should I say across Nigeria. It's the raining season now, or as some will call it, we are in the rains, and when you go around, you see waters all over the place. And the good thing about this is we have a platform where we could talk about it, we could address issues. But the sad part of it is year in, year out, we seem to have the same problems. And as much as we're talking, the level of results we're saying is reduced. Why is this? What could possibly be wrong? Is it that we're not making adequate preparations, or it's just the amount of precipitations that have increased? Well, flooding is also slightly different from erosion. But when you talk about flooding, erosion is always by the corner, and then drowning is also by the corner, because 75% of deaths that is from flooding is as a result of drowning. That is the WHO statistics for the year 2021, and they say more males are more likely to drown than females. I don't know why that is, but it's okay. I have the Chief Environmental Health Officer in the studio from Edo State Ministry of Health. He's graced this show several times, but it's been a while. I saw him. Happy New Year.
Good to see you again. Well, you're looking very great.
Very different.
Wonderful.
You don't want to say the right word.
It's amazing.
Okay, so I have Frank Inenomo in the studio today. He's not only the Chief Environmental Health Officer, he's also now the Climate Change Desk Officer at the Ministry. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Promotion everywhere. new titles.
Wow.
Okay, so we're talking about flooding today. And the first question on the list, which was what I even said while we were introducing the show, is why do we seem to be experiencing more flooding in recent times? Is it inadequate preparation? Is it more precipitation? What could possibly be wrong? Is it human error? Is it God punishing us? We've done something wrong? What's going on?
To set the stage for this presentation, let me do a background for the discussion.
Okay.
I will start with a Swahilian proverb, which states, or goes thus, that we should not borrow of the earth because we will pay with great interest. You see, we have, over time, mankind, we have taken for granted the resilience of the environment.
Okay.
The environment is robust, though, but to a threshold limit. We have overstretched the resources of the environment. So it's like pushing a goat to the wall. What do you expect?
It will
fight back. So the environment is now fighting back, having overstretched the resources. Now, this has led to inflicting some amount of injury on the environment. When you say injury, that presupposes or suggests that the environment is living. Some injuries are almost becoming permanent damage, ranging from desertification, climate change, ozone layer depletion, deforestation, global warming, and of course, the discussion for today at the front burner, flooding. What is flooding? We are talking about an overflow of storm runoff, discharging into streets, substantially to cause hazards that can be destructive to life and property, and as well impede traffic flow, vehicular and non-vehicular movement. Flooding, to me now, is more of a disaster. Why? Because I made mention of climate change. We are now having extreme weather or climate conditions. So if it is rain that is going to fall, it will be more heavy. The downpour will be so heavy. If it is temperature, that is heat or cold, it will be so, because there is now inconsistency in the average weather pattern, owing to a lot of anthropogenic human activities that has brought us to where we are. What are the anthropogenic activities? The way we manage our waste is a major, in fact, it's a #1 factor. You see people, I will try as much as possible to be less academic so that the ordinary man on the street will understand and appreciate the enormity that what goes around also comes around. Okay? So, as we speak now, the way Amana we manage our waste in a society of throwaway people, we do it anyhow. When it's raining, people bring out all their, and to compound the issue, more of plastic waste. Everything now, packaging is more of plastic. And these plastic are non-biodegradable. Of course, they will block our drains. And once the drains are blocked, of course, water we find is level. Don't forget that the power of water is you only have that control when it's in your cup. When it's let out, you cannot control water. In fact, to me, I don't know which one can be more disastrous between water and fire outbreak. Because of the damage, enormous damage that, water can portend when it becomes an issue of flooding. We have the younger one of flooding just now. You talked about erosion.
Yes.
Erosion is about the washing away of the topsoil. Over time, the nutrients of that topsoil is eroded, and we have sheet erosion when such washing away is uniform. Then, when they are now forming channels, we now have real erosion, ROILL, and then over time, when such channels have become more than 1 meter deep, then we now have flood. And flood is at the eye of the storm now, because this is rainy season. Down south, the enormity, because we have, in fact, not even in the south. Sometimes we even hear from up north that they suffer problem of flooding. Okay? So a lot of anthropogenic activities of man. Okay. I listened patiently and attentively to your report yesterday. Okay. How the impunity by which somebody went and blocked a possible waterway. So people, lackadaisically, people with impunity will build on natural waterways. And you think what goes around will not come around. Water will always find its level. So thank God and kudos to the Ministry of Physical Planning. Within 24 hours of that report, they swung into action and that structure was pulled down. In the absence of sewers, channels for water, okay, roads, good network of road will help to discharge this storm runoff so that most of the time they become more splash flood than pondages. Okay, but when this is now blocked, you see, like, added to the issue of somebody blocking, communities these days, they will sell all part of their land area without considering that there will be need to observe natural waterways, make provision for schools for their children, make provision for market, make provision for other public utilities for the community. They sell all areas that they know they can sell. Yeah. And then when it is now a problem of flooding, people will now start shouting.
Okay, talking about those waterways you said earlier,
yes.
it's one of the things I want to say. We seem not to have had effective town planning in time past. So people were just building. The only thing I grew up to know is that after every 200 by 200 in Benin, there is a street.
Yes.
But apart from that, I don't think there was any other thing. And even after that 200 by 200, I don't think they even observe it anymore. Come to this part of Benin that are just developing, nothing like that. But for those old places where they've built on the waterways, what ways would you suggest government should imbibe to reclaim those waterways? Because it's difficult for me to leave a house I inherited from my father, that I inherited from his father. It's not my fault that I did C of O and they did not tell me I'm not supposed to build there. But what can we do to reclaim those ways and waterways?
Well, I know that there is a geographical information system now in Edo State where you can locate every part of Benin now. Edo State is geo-referenced. You can locate, once you just go to the office, they will tell you this area is this, these are the implications for building, whether it is going to be allowed. But over and above that, kudos to Ministry of Physical Planning once again. No matter whose source is God, anybody that builds on waterways, such structure should be put down. No matter whose source is God. So long as it is in the public interest, the government of the day holds all land by land tenure system or land use decree, holds all land in trust for the people. So in public interest, any land that is impeding, disrupting waterways should be brought down. And then such persons or such houses should be relocated. Well, ideally, people are supposed to have building plan approval. So if you have a building plan approval and your property is to be taken in public interest, you are compensated. But where there is no building plan approval, it means that you illegally encroached on that property, no matter who would have sold.
Okay.
So we are still looking at the causes of flooding. The issue of climate change is apt. We have come to find ourselves with it, and we have no choice but continue to live with it. Now we are having heavier downpour now with the problem of climate change, with added to the fact that the infiltrability capacity of the soil or land area is reducing due to rapid urbanization.
Okay.
Where we used to have green belt of vegetation, we now build in those areas. Apart from building in those areas, when you roof, those areas used to allow for filtration of downpour. Now you roof your house, you push the water. Mr. B roof, he pushes the water. Another person, and to further compound, we want to be sophisticated now to start doing interlocking tile, render the surface concrete, and impervious to water. Of course, the water that would have been absorbed by the surface land area is now being pushed. And when it's being pushed, of course, it will find its level. And this ranging of surface area becoming infiltrable for or to absorb water is now a major cause for flooding. Okay, coupled again with the fact that most of our channels, our drains, have been blocked. There's rapid urbanization, population explosion, and because of the population explosion, what was the plan like some 20 years back is no longer in tune with present day reality.
Because we don't plan ahead.
It's no longer, so you asked of what should be the solution. The solution should be that government should intensify its urban renewal drive. We are here at Igosa, for example. I must not, for every activity I want to do, I must not
Go to
I'm not going to Central, to Ring Road. I should be able to. You see, development now should be encouraged at the fringes, you know, of, you know, the state. Once upon a time, going to Lagos, you are looking for Oluku. You'll be wondering, we don't. But now, you can't distinguish between Oluku now and Uniben Main Gate. What you will just realize then was, this is Uniben Main Gate. You'll be looking to get to Oluku. But today, development have since caught up with the neighborhood. So, development should no longer be at the city center, but should move, you know, to the fringes of all geographical locations. So with that, the problem of slum and all that goes with the activities of formation of slum at the city center would have reduced.
Okay, hold on. Let me hold you there.
Yes.
Talking about government improving on development so that it goes round. And Benin is a typical place where if you want to buy anything, you have to go to Sapele Road. Everything is in Sapele Road. But let's talk about Lagos a little bit, because we're dealing with flooding disasters across Nigeria. And in this month of July, people lost their lives because of the flooding in Lagos. I even saw a video of popular singer Davido's house submerged in water. There were lots of luxury cars in that compound, and they were all submerged in water. Government is trying to expand Lagos, and as such, they are filling the natural waters so people can build. And these are very expensive places: Lekki, VI, Banana Island, and all of these areas. So what are the dangers of this practice, and the dangers for government in the long run, and even the people that are buying these properties? Should they desist from the filling of these waterways? If they do, how then will they expand Lagos?
It's a pity. The July 9th episode of some persons that got submerged in flood that led to loss of life around Agege area. I think I got, and if I think I got a
white
report.
Lexus Jeep.
Yes, white Lexus Jeep, and I think they said they were in two separate vehicles. They actually got the red flag, but they refused to heed. I, as a person, will not subscribe to that idea of filling up. You can't cheat nature. It must revibrate itself back to what it's supposed to be. Except the technologies we hear that goes on in developed countries, because we hear about such because some areas that are deserts, some areas that are really water, whatever, are being reclaimed, and mega cities
like Dubai
are springing up. You know, to me, I see that as a disaster waiting to happen.
Oh, really? Because
over time, because a lot of anthropogenic activities are going on. You can't stop. Like the emission of CFC gases now, we continue. Even if we stop today, emission, even if we stop today, the amount of CFC gases that has saturated the atmosphere we continue to deplete the ozone. And if with that continuous depletion of the ozone, okay, for the next 100 years it will continue. So what are we talking about? To me, I am of the idea, of the opinion that why the concentration in Lagos? There are neighboring states. These days you can live in Shagamu and still go to work in Lagos. The only thing government should do is improve on our infrastructure. Good road, good transportation. You can live in Shagamu and still attend work in Lagos and come back. There's no difference between these two geographical locations, even if they are in two separate states. Okay? So, I will not subscribe because it's a keg of gunpowder. People are sitting on keg of gunpowder. A disaster waiting to happen.
Okay, for those who just joined us, you're watching Flipside. Flipside is the other side of the news. It made the news that people lost their lives because of flooding. And the issue of flooding if we're not careful, it's going to even keep getting worse as the years progress. And as at this morning, it has started raining again. And we don't know if it will be worse than July as we're getting into August. But we all need to be prepared. There are so many other parts of this discussion you don't want to miss out on. What we need to know to protect ourselves as the rains are still pouring. And for those who have decided not to vacate their homes because that floods have claimed, what are the risks, health risks they are going to face? That's why we have the Chief Health Officer here with us, Frank Inenomo. We'll go on a short break on It's About You. You know how we do on the show. Something totally different from what we're talking about, but very important to your life. We have a short documentary on a fruit, banana. We want you to learn something from that. Once we come back, it's a very short one, we'll continue this discussion. Ripe, rich, and delicious, bananas are one of the most popular fruits that are easily available all year round. However, there are some weight watchers who will raise their eyebrows if they are asked to include it in their diet, because banana is rich in calories. They will soon know why this awesome fruit deserves to be loved and eaten. Bananas are exceptionally healthy as they provide numerous health benefits. It is a versatile fruit that contains many nutrients, including vitamins A, B, C, and E, along with minerals like potassium, zinc, iron, and manganese. Just as eating a banana helps in keeping your body in good health and great shape, application of this fruit on your hair and skin will help you keep them in great condition. Now, let's take a quick look at the benefits of banana. Banana gives instant surge of energy. It does this by converting the natural sugars in it into instant energy, and this is one of the reasons sportsmen consume it during intervals. Bananas can be eaten whole, as part of a salad, as a healthy beverage, or as an ingredient of a vegetable. It is a fruit made by God for one and all and for every age group to provide required energy throughout the day. Bananas does great miracles in our stomach. Banana enhances digestive ability because it is very rich in fructooligosaccharides, which acts as a friendly bacteria. It stimulates the production of enzymes that enables absorption of nutrients, thus enhancing the digestive ability. Also, certain substances in bananas stimulate the cells which make up the stomach lining. This enables production of a thicker protective mucous barrier against stomach acids, thereby combating stomach ulcers. At the same time, it relieves from constipation because the peptine found in bananas help to alleviate constipation and improves bowel functions as well as cure bile. Bananas are also a good source of potassium, calcium, and magnesium, which aid in maintaining normal blood pressure and are heart protective. The high potassium content promotes bone health, keeps the mental faculties vigilant, enhances brain power, and boosts learning abilities. Due to the high amount of potassium, it also reduces the occurrence of stroke. Bananas can also reduce the risk of various types of cancer, especially bowel cancer, because of the antioxidants and dietary fiber in it. Banana helps in regulating anemia as they contain high levels of iron, which helps regulate the hemoglobin levels in the body. The antacid substance in banana gives immense relief from heartburn as well. Beyond the health benefits, you can rub the inside of a banana peel on your leather shoes or handbags and polish with a dry cloth afterwards for a quick shine. Rub banana peel on your teeth for about 2 minutes every time you brush, and you'll be well on your way to having that pearly white teeth. It also gets rid of acne. Rub your acne with the white side of a banana peel, leave it on your face for some minutes, and then rinse. Well, are you craving the sweet stuff but don't have the time, the calories, or budgets to spare? Simply blend a well-frozen solid banana in a food processor or blender.
You'll be surprised how much it tastes like soft-served ice cream. You may need to add a little more cream or flour, honey or chocolate to obtain the consistency of the cream or yogurt. I know you will never look at a banana the same way again after discovering the many health benefits and reasons to add them to your diet. Bananas combat depression, make you smarter, cure hangovers, relieve morning sickness, protect against kidney cancer, diabetes, osteoporosis, and blindness. They can cure the itch of a mosquito bite, fertilize your plants when they decay on the ground, and many more. So please, include a banana in your diet today for these and more. Your body is your responsibility. Please take good care of it.
All right, it's the flip side, and we're talking about flood and disaster around Nigeria, and I have the Chief Environmental Health Officer from the Ministry of Health, Frank Inenomo, who also happens to be the Climate Change Desk Officer. And we've talked about causes of flooding. There are so many causes apart from climate change, human activities, which activities are still one of the reasons why we have the climate change. There are other causes he said he wants to itemize, but before we do that, we just deal with a few other things. We've talked about these. We've talked about ways to reclaim the waterways and the proactive ways to do that. And we've also prepared our mind that this increase in precipitation might not be changing anytime soon. It will even get worse. He mentioned 50 years if we even stop all these negative activities of emitting gases into the air, carbon monoxide, fluorides, and all that. 50 years, we have not still repaired the damage.
Even if we stop today.
Even if we stop today. So it's a long one. But then again, I want to talk about the overriding cost this flooding is going to have on us, on the government, the environmental risk, the health hazards, everything is going to cost us. Even if it's not everything, what are we going to lose if we don't handle the issue of flooding?
Well, I think the federal government has taken the bold step to deploy some funds to handle ecological issues, which flooding is part of it. Individuals can get displaced, and there can be loss of job. The structural integrity of your building can get compromised, and then incurring extra cost to see how you can fix such structures that have become, whose structural integrity have become compromised. Okay, so a lot, family disruption of normal family life are all part of the then you are going to see more of IDP camps that are going to that are going to come up. You remember the episode in 2012 where those who were living in waterfront around the Edo North area were now relocated to. We're now relocated to, if you were in town there.
No. I was in Kogi, and Lokoja is Kogi is next to Edo.
Good. They were now relocated to primary schools
to stay
and
for
all
a while.
that. So over time, you feel that the integrity and dignity of mankind would have been reduced by such a development. So it's not funny It's not funny. That's the environmental and ecological effect. We also have issues with dangerous animals being brought by water. This flood going across the hinterland and bringing them around. And when the water recedes, this dangerous animal becomes part of the immediate environment, and that can be very dangerous, including reptiles. Okay? Yeah. So it is, and then today we're talking on monkeypox. We don't even know the source. Though it seems to be a zoonotic, we've not been able to pin it to a particular animal now, that this is the particular animal from which this comes. So all these are miseries that surrounds, this serious environmental challenge that we need to be very, very conscious of. Okay, so other effects of flooding, in addition to the displacement, economic losses, what would have made, what government would have used or be deployed by government to other, will now be used to be doing the damage control, thereby making government again to be incurring extra cost. And then we'll be saying tomorrow, oh, the government have not done this, the government have not done that. Well, to me, this issue of flooding is still induced because of our anthropogenic activities. It's self-induced. If we can stop some of these activities, stop the way manner we currently manage our waste by blocking our drains. Of course, then by proactive, on the proactive part of government at all tiers, get all our drains being cleaned up as a routine, then the normal channels of water will be maintained. People don't block water channels at the end of the day. All these problems will not have arisen. I don't think, you see, Nigeria, we are blessed too. Compared to what we see, disaster that happen in other developed countries, enormous. But we are not harnessing the resources that we have. We are not harnessing the blessing, the endowment that we have. Instead, we are further complicating issues. And this, at the end of the day, does not help us, and it's not good for us.
Okay, one of the effects of flooding seems to be drowning as well. People die. It's the ultimate cost, But in this case of drowning, where the World Health Organization has said 75% of the deaths, sickness, disease outbreak you mentioned could be one of them, but 75% is usually because people drowned in the floods. What ways would you recommend we prevent drowning? We've had reports in Benin City of people drowning when the state was flooded during the rains. There was even one that made me cry. The child was coming from school, a pupil, and the child drowned. And you know that today, they've still not found that child. At least we didn't get any report that child was found. So what ways can we prevent drowning?
It's quite pathetic. We have a lot of uncovered drains, open drains all over the place. So we should try, the authorities concerned, the persons responsible for ensuring that these drains are covered. Because sometimes when the drains are filled up with heavy downpour, you can't distinguish whether this is an area that is a gutter or not. So, but if these drains are covered with concrete slabs, obviously people will not drown. Then on a long run, if we can, though the velocity of the water and the tide can be high, if we can equip ourselves with the skills of swimming, if we can equip ourselves, so that if it does happen, as an individual, you are able, as a self-defense mechanism, you are able to navigate and find your way out of it. I think that will be help. So another way of getting that done is sports and recreation to be taught in schools, okay? And then possibly too, people should try and see how they can imbibe that skill of learning on how to swim. So if we can learn how to swim and get the skills, perhaps that will go a long way to reduce the effect of drowning.
Okay, now the floods have come, the floods have gone, everywhere is sunny, all the roads are getting dry. What health tips would you suggest as a health officer to people whose houses were submerged? Some people, let me quickly say this. I had a friend in Port Harcourt, not Benin. They're very rich. They built a duplex, and they happen to be one of those coastal areas.
Yes.
So during the rains, the waters from the river, it wasn't really run off from other places because the waters are so clear and fine. I happened to have visited that once during the rains. The downfloor of the duplex is covered with water. And they stay upstairs till that rain stops and everything dries.
The water receded.
Yes, they stay there, they don't leave. They'll tell you and go away. You know, so what health tips should we hold on to after the flood? What should we do to stay healthy?
Over time, such a building, the structural integrity will become compromised. And that is another risk. So anybody that is safety conscious should see how, and I'm very sure it's close to waterfront. Again, we didn't even talk about river flood, sea level rise. That's a typical example of a possible river flood or sea level rise. That is also one of the aftermath of the problem of climate change and ozone layer depletion. Okay? So, the structural,
what's river flood? Sorry, you will continue with my first question. What's river flood? What's sea level rise? Break it down to the layman so that they understand.
There are land-based ice caps.
Okay.
With the problem of global warming, these land-based ice caps will start to melt up.
Oh.
So when they melt, they find their way through channels and gullies into surface sources of water and swells up the already full, and not only the water now swelling up, there will be siltation, S-I-L-T-A-T-A-T-I-O-N, siltation. So if the river is not well dredged to have enough capacity, space to accommodate that water is coming, of course it will
back into the community.
Overflow its bank. And in Lagos today, if by 1 meter, Daisy, the ocean rises by 1 meter, the entire Lagos will be submerged. It's as serious as that. So it's not funny. So that your friend who you said they'll be up and water, maybe without rain, suddenly water, that's a kind of sea level rise or river flood. And with the continuous flow of water to such building, the structural integrity over time, because the walls of such building will be absorbing the water that comes, and it will be reducing the structural integrity and getting it compromised. And before you know it, there will be crack walls, and before you know it, there will be dilapidation, and then there will be collapse of building. So, after flooding has occurred, people must be rehabilitated. For those who survive, we pray everybody is able to survive it. First and foremost, people should not build houses close to waterfronts. People should get approval for continuous habitation of places where they want to stay before they do that. And like I said, Edo State has a geographical information system where they will tell you this place is earmarked and safe for habitation, and this area is not safe or it's not earmarked for habitation. So when people would have survived a flood disaster, which can already there are warnings now that people are living around waterfront, they must be able to live a normal, productive life again. And that's where the rehabilitation comes in, resettlement comes in, because a lot of things would have arisen. Well, you can imagine the disruption of normal family life, where husband was displaced, wife was displaced to go and stay elsewhere, and the family are not together. Perhaps, if they can find it, it's even worse than a war situation. It's just that you are not fighting with gun. You are fighting with a natural disaster.
That you can't control.
That you cannot on your own control. Not no government is in control of such a disaster, except nature. And painfully or sadly, is still induced due to human anthropogenic activity. So people have to be rehabilitated, people have to be resettled in another location, in houses. Then people will have to go to hospitals for medical evaluation because they would have been traumatized mentally, socially, and not physically and otherwise. So people have to go for medical evaluation. And where they were found to have come down with one condition or the other, I think treatment will have to. And then we'll now have to plan again for the future. Okay, this thing has happened like this. Oh, it's still likely to happen again this time, another year, or in another 4 years' time, another 5 years' time. And that's where what you call resistant climate change
resistant structures.
Structure, so that when you construct your infrastructures, properties, in a way that you anticipate that, oh, should it be like this? Because if you just come to an area that is just
not just reactive,
you just come to an area, you are where you will be surprised that where used to be a normal water flow, over time will now be forming pondages because more houses are coming up and there's no corresponding arrangement for storm water to find its level. And meanwhile, we are making the filtrability capacity of the water and the filtrability capacity, the soil area, to become more impervious by reducing the surface area with your interlocking tiles, with your concrete surfaces trying to be sophisticated, going by the modern trend. At the end of the day, you are interfering with nature. And once you interfere with nature, it will fight its way back.
Interesting. Okay, before we leave, quickly, you've talked a lot about human anthropogenic activities. Big English show, very big. Okay.
Well, that includes even the burning of fossil fuel.
Oh, because that's the last question. I needed to break it down.
Gas flaring that is going on around the Niger Delta.
Okay.
Individuals, you don't call for waste managers to come and carry your waste. You just look for the combustible ones and do the burning at the back. In the process of doing that, it may be at a small scale, but you're also emitting the CFC gases that is also causing the human anthropogenic activity, causing the greenhouse effect, which prevents the re-radiated energies for good. I think there should be a time for us to talk about climate change.
It's pulling everybody into this matter now.
We will now see that there will be direct ultraviolet radiation of sunlight, but the radiated energy cannot go back to space because of all the heat trappers that form a blanket, and then global warming. Meanwhile, the depletion is continuous, unending.
Okay. All right. So your last words on the show today before I let you go, because before I will see you again, only God knows.
Let us see the environment as living. There's the ubiquitous environment is everywhere. We should not allow it to die, because allowing the death of the environment can mean the total annihilation of mankind. There's just only one environment, which is our immediate surrounding. So we should cherish it, we should protect it, and stop inflicting more injuries so that we can get out of the mess we are in now. Oh,
thank you so much, Mr. Frank Inenomo. It's good to have you on the show.
It's been my pleasure, too, to be here.
A lot of things to take out from this discussion today. The very first part I picked from the very first question where he talked about we not having enough greens in our environment anymore. And then it links it with the interlocking ties. And I'm just wondering how many interlocked compounds can grow trees in their compounds? That's going to be very difficult for the roots to be under those concretes and all that. So if you want to, we're foregoing our life, continuity of life, for aesthetics. So we need to find a balance in the long run. That's on the one hand. Then it now drags almost everybody in Benin into the matter by talking about illegal disposal of our refuse. Hey, God, people that are doing this are so many. There are so many. Now, I'm not talking about those who wait for the rains to fall and then they bring their debris and empty it into the water. No, I'm talking about rain, sun, it doesn't matter. They pack the waste from their homes, tie it in bags, and they just look for anywhere around and dispose of it. So that's horrible. Apart from the smell in the area, the ugliness of that area, the health risks involved. Now, I just found that is also emitting gases. I didn't know that. And the last thing I picked, and I think everyone should also grab from that, is when he talked about, after the flooding, mental evaluation. I'm all for mental health on the show. I'm sure those who follow would know that. A lot of us go through a lot of mental issues without even realizing we have them. And we just live in and faithing things, praying about it, calling the blood, and we just go on like that. You need to also see a psychiatrist, a doctor, to evaluate yourself if you've been exposed to any form of natural disaster. I didn't think about that, but I'm going to hold on to that and use it time and time again on the show. Thanks a lot for your time. I'm sure you've grabbed one or two lessons from the show today. Get yourself prepared for a repeat broadcast on GoTV, StarTimes, TSTV, and we're going to put the link on Facebook and, of course, on YouTube, so you can catch up at any time, any year, from whatever part of the world. You can always watch this episode again and again. Have a nice day, and bye.